Sure. Because it's interesting and we'll have ideas. Same here.
Me too. I barely touched this right before we got here, so.
But whenever I see you have a go, I mean, I suppose the stuff you post on Instagram is from your studio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually I just wake up and, look at something and say, I want to experiment and let's see what's going to go down. I mean, usually I try and knock it out really quick, So doing something like this where it's from scratch, it gets me hyped. I'm like, okay, this could probably go horrible, and I try and steer it in the way that's not going to be horrible.
But you got such a great vibe. I think everything you do it's so tight. I mean, first time I heard you perform was in Tokyo at the Modular festival there in Tokyo, and you had this magical performance. That was the first time for me when I saw the real potential of modular. Up until that point of your groundbreaking performance, I've been moderately interested in modulars, but seeing that was changed everything for me. Wow. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you for vibing with that. I think that particular performance was cool because with modular it's so delicate. I think you could plan all this stuff and then some cable hits a couple things, your oscillators get detuned and everything kind of goes wild, and that's part of the fun for me. I was supposed to be working on that set days before going to Japan, and then the way I always do it, I was like, oh, well, I'll do it the night before, and then I keep procrastinating, and I'll do it. Actually, I started making some of the sounds on the plane because they happen to have outlet. So I had my whole modular set up on the plane, and I made it just a couple sounds in one of the modules, and then I really didn't get around to making the patch. And then, I'll do it at the place I'm staying at, and then that didn't happen. So then you start making it at the venue, and then it's like, shoot, it's time to sound check, and you don't have anything ready. So yeah, I always loved that style. I think at that particular set, I was screaming my head off too through reverb, and yeah, it was great. So I should just start building a patch.
Yeah,
okay.
Do that.
So, what is the system called? Is the Pocket Operator Modular 400?
It's the 400.
Okay.
And this is the kind of family name.
Okay, so it's the 400.
The 400, exactly.
And it has a square wave, a saw, and a sine. LFO, filter, envelope, double VCAs. Actually, double envelopes. Sequencer, a noise source.
Oh, that's a nice noise.
That's
nice.
Beautiful.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
And a random generator. So let's start. I don't do too much patching and talking at the same time, so let's figure this out. We're gonna run one of the square outputs into the filter. The filter out to the mixer. In the sequencer, Tobias, it's has its own clock inside of it, right? It doesn't need to be externally clocked. So
there's a tempo button or a tempo knob.
Okay. So I'm gonna take one of the control voltage outputs of the sequencer. I'm gonna run that into the control input of the square wave. Then I'm gonna patch one of the clock outs into the envelope. And then create my shape of my ADSR and plug that into the control end of the filter.
Are you starting to narrate your patches as you go? Are you used to doing this?
Not at all.
This maybe even teach modular synthesis.
Perfect for that.
Yeah.
Or mess with the cutoff of the filter.
I really like the raw sound of it. The cutoff is creamy and gentle.
When you're down there on the real staccato kind of thing, it has a real 80s James Cameron Terminator kind of vibe to it that I really appreciate.
That's my jam, because a lot of the songs I've been making with my friend Pilo, people were like, how's your music sounding? And I'm like, Terminator.
Yeah.
It's all about
Like, that's great.
the Terminator fight scenes, Terminator chase scenes, you know? And then let's get a little wild, and we're gonna take the triangle LFO and we're gonna run that into the other control input of the square wave, and we're gonna frequency modulate that. Get some metallic sounds in there.
Nice.
And mess with the rate of the LFO.
Is the
That's straight cyborg right there. What was your question?
Is the CV sequencer, is it tuned or is it totally free?
I think it's free. It's not quantized, so I think that's what one of the beauties is of modular synthesizers, is that even from the old school days of like Don Buchla, I don't think he was really into tuning. He's like, just do what feels right to you, and if it feels good, that's what you have. We don't need to worry about like this 12 tet. You just gotta worry about Terminator styles. Let's slow the tempo down a little bit.
Remember what I said about the length of the sequence? So if you turn something up to max,
Yeah, so
all the steps before will play, but it will restart at the max.
So like right here, I'm gonna do a 5-step sequence. And the filter does have a second input to control the cutoff frequency. So I'm gonna take a sine wave and run it very slowly into the other control of the filter. That way we can have the ADSR plucking at the filter, and then we'll have the sine doing a slow up and down, open and close of it. That's actually an audio rate right there. So we'll put it slower, and then it has an attenuator to it.
Nice.
Then I'm going to turn the attenuator down, that way it's not going from minimum voltage to maximum. So you'll be able to hear it right here where it's more subtle.
Is that only changing the maximum level?
Yeah, it's just like making the window smaller
Nice.
with the attenuators that are on
towards
it.
the bottom.
Yes.
Okay.
So now it has a little more fluctuation in it, and then you can hear. Now I'm gonna run the sine faster. Just add a kick drum and you're freaking on the dance floor. Actually, you know what? I think the new dance music is no drums. You know, just percussive, metallic sounds. So this sequencer has 3 outputs to it. So what I'm gonna do is take that same pitch sequence that's going to our oscillator, and I'm gonna run that sequence into our sine wave that's frequency modulating the filter cutoff. So let's hear how that sounds. Then you get some nice overtones.
What's the sequencer? Is it only CV sequencer? Is there a gate as well?
The only gates that come out of it is the clock. There's not a programmable gate out. And then let's change that back to a 16-step sequence. Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to put some of the pitches up pretty high to see if we get some nice metallic blips.
Sure, yeah.
And then let's just try putting the main oscillator's pitch up and see how that goes down. And it goes so high into the
Oh, yeah.
doggy range.
This is where we communicate with the aliens.
Yeah.
This is super advantageous anyways. I can, from someone who doesn't do a lot of modular stuff, I can tell you that trying to create those really farty, growly, low sounds without that kind of technology is super hard, you know, and you just...
And it makes it sound organic.
Yeah.
Let's see some other ways we can twist this up. I'm going to take the clock out from the sequencer. Oops, that's actually the clock input. And run it into this random module. I don't know where I'm putting that random at yet, but... Oh, we're going to put that into the FM input of the sine. That's FMing the filter. I guess you can't tell too much of that.
It's already messed up.
Let's increase the resonance on the filter. Ooh, get some nice little voices in there.
Oh, this is nice.
Good, man.
Into the doggy hearing territory.
This is where the dogs go, like, whoa, whoa.
Yes.
So I only used this in the hotel just for about 5 minutes before we came here, so it's very intuitive actually, and you can make some wild stuff. Because this type of modular, you know, what Teenage Engineering is doing, this is not stuff, you know, this is stuff probably that was invented in like the 70s or something. It's amazing that you have these raw components of just the three shapes, or actually there's 3 different oscillators in here with the square, saw, and sine, but you know, once you start frequency modulating everything, and you could get these wild timbres coming out. And I think this is great for someone to experiment with sound, and it's just like, it's wild, you know, because sometimes you just hear a raw square wave and you're like, okay, it's a square, and then once you start modulating everything, modulating the filter, it just, and you know, there's still modules in here that I didn't even use, and to me, yeah, to do that really quick, and that got me pretty hyped. I was like, damn, I want to use that for a track or something. Like, even looking at the system right here, I created, you know, that Terminator line, and I could have easily, you know, taken that square wave and then put envelope to it to create a kick drum, and there's a noise source right here, so I could have mixed that with the sine and then created a snare drum and find a way to sequence it to get a kick and a snare out of that. So Yeah, I think that is amazing when you start learning sound design. You think, oh, it's these waveforms, and you could bend them with different parameters with pitch, and it's going at a low pitch, hit it with a exponential envelope, you have a massive kick drum. That's gonna just like rumble a whole building,
Is that me? Yeah. Ooh, that was the low pitch. Yeah, that's great.
That was amazing.
Okay, we're gonna listen to this level tune. Okay, just gonna. Yeah, I really like that. It's got several outputs. Okay. Oops. Control? No. Start over. Cool. Let's start over. Start over. pluggen.
Jag tänkte om du tar
bra.
från mixer.